And that's it. Now it's recording. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I'm going to record now this talk. The objective is, again, to make our life easy. And it all started with a suggestion from the students. And this is where it's right now. So what I'm using, this software, is going to record whatever is happening on my screen. And generally, if I have a presentation, a slide, I just display the slide and comment on the slide. And this is also going to be recorded. And this is what makes it interesting. So now what I used to do before the Blackboard is to do something on my very personal website that I created. And then that website, let me just, it's kind of a long, okay, it should be coming. Okay, this is the website where I just put my slides, and what I ended up putting also is my videos. So if I go for example, in this course, this is the course that I'm teaching right now, and then if we going to go to see that these are recordings, inshallah, I hope YouTube is not blocked. So these are recordings of the videos that I just recorded using this same software. And it seems like YouTube is blocked. Okay, no, it's blocked. YouTube typing will be found, so it's blocked. It was working, but just a few minutes ago, but no, it's not. Anyways, so hopefully there is going to be fixed or settled, at least in blocked or unblocked. But it seems now, anyways, these are recording the presentations. I mean, these slides that I showed them and I commented on them, and these are recorded, and the students come back and check it. So actually, I wanted to show you some statistics because I wanted to see if this is really useful, and I don't think this is going to show up. Is it? No. So anyways, I wanted to show you that actually I monitored the visits on each these videos, because you can, Google gives you some kind of free analytics tools that you can check. And it was showing that, I mean, just before the quizzes or midterms, there's a spike in the number of views and the duration that is quite clear. And you can see a lot of spikes, and these are the exam times. So students are using it if they're absent, so they can use it instead of just lag around and try to guess what happened, or maybe ask their colleagues. And for us, it's kind of taking out some of the repetitive tasks, just to repeat the same thing, because some of the easiest part, they can just understand them by just looking at the videos. And they can just do that. And it makes our life as well easier this way. But even more, actually with Blackboard, you can do the same things, plus now with time, I recorded many videos, but the students can come back and go to my channel and see the list of videos. But the thing is now, I can put them on private and make them, it's some more processing for me, and I don't want to do that. I want to make my life easy and make your life easy. So Blackboard has some kind of a feature that you can, when you put a video in, for example, in the content, let me see that this is the same course that I just uploaded on Blackboard, and I can have all these, I can put some announcements, and these are kind of interesting feature, because students, they have the Blackboard app. Every announcement that you put, they're going to receive it. So if you'd like to give them some last-minute change, we were supposed to have quizzes on yesterday, and for 2 sections. So there were some changes. So, oops, that was a quick click. And now I just sent some kind of update, and these are the updates, and everybody gets them as soon as I put the announcement. So it's kind of really useful to connect with students in this way, and to get them some information of quizzes, so you don't have students coming and fetching you, asking you about your office hours, and then just to ask you, is the quiz tomorrow or Wednesday? So this kind of information can be, it's easier for them, easier for us, can be shared online, and that's one of the things. But that's not the main part. Now, of course, as I told you, they were supposed to, YouTube was working, so now it's not working. So there was supposed to be some videos showing up here, and they are. Oh, now it's working. So yeah, so as you can see, these are the videos. Actually now, I don't know why it's working now, but alhamdulillah, it's working. So the videos also here, the same thing. The thing is that when you put a video on YouTube, you cannot just put some kind of restriction on the date and time where this can be viewed. While on the Blackboard, this can be done. You can specify this video, don't show it until this week. And this is kind of nice, so you don't have students, for example, seeing the solution of a problem before even trying to do it themselves. So this is some kind of feature, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. My main focus for today is to use this Blackboard. I don't know if I can maybe use some analytics just to show you some kind of, but maybe another time. my main thing I would like to show you today is how to get your life easy and make the students' life easy with one of the tasks that are kind of extensive on us, mainly marking. We're doing a lot of marking, and especially when we are overloaded, as probably each department is, we don't have a lot of time to do some kind of extensive marking, which is putting a lot of stress on us. Now, Blackboard can help in this regard, especially for the multiple choices and matching, and true falses, and also, surprisingly, on other like short answers or essay questions. Now, I'd like to show you this and how you can take advantage of this Blackboard for getting your quizzes done on it. Now, the main concern from our side for the quiz is to make sure that students do not cheat or do not get to use the internet while they're taking the quiz and things like that. I mean, I'm going to show you exactly what kind of steps that this Blackboard can give you. And these are some tools that makes your life easy in terms of ensuring that students are not going to be having some kind of environment that will tempt them into trying to cheat. But I need to say one thing, though, just to be fair to students. I noticed personally, I don't know if it's the same with you, I noticed personally there's a big change in the students' behaviors in terms of cheating attempts. I mean, it dropped kind of drastically these couple of semesters. What are the keep it current and don't show this machine again. So it dropped a lot. So actually, I didn't see much of cheating attempts, but we need to prepare just for the worst case scenario and to give a fair environment to all students. So what I end up doing, let me maybe show you something, is that this is something that I had in the previous, I tried this in the summer fully. In the summer I had my first course where all my quizzes were held on Blackboard. So the main advantage is all the students, they can see their grades as soon as I put them, as I mark their copy. So as soon as I mark it, they can see, they get a notification, there's a new grade in your Blackboard. And then they can check it. And the good thing is that they can see also their answers, and if they made a wrong answer, they can see what was the right answer for that same question. Now that's a good thing because we used to spend some time in the class or in the office taking students one by one or as a group and taking their questions regarding their answers and explaining each question or why this is wrong and things like that. And also, this allowed me to, take this discussion out of the class so they can see their grades outside of the class and we can focus on having more discussion in the class about things that are common to most students. Of course, there are still some small cases who come and still have to discuss their own questions, but these are a small percentage, which reduces basically the load then. Now, the good thing is also when I did this, let me maybe show you something. For grade center, and let me just take, for example, one of the questions to show you how it looks like. For example, this view attempt. So I can see actually the students. This is their question. This was the question. This was the correct answer. He answered it correctly. And this is, if there's some kind of feedback, I can give him some feedback. If there's something that needs, even if it was right, or maybe it wasn't the full mark, so I just can explain what kind of mistakes that the student did in this. So I'm giving the feedback as I mark, and then I can put the grade for the questions, and then the student can see what were if it was right, that was the correct answer, if it was wrong, so this is the given answer, but this is the correct answer, and so on. So they can see immediately, as soon as you mark it, the grades. The second thing is that when you mark a quiz, you have different versions. And maybe one question is going to be on some number of students. And then instead of just marking copy by copy, what I used to do personally, I just split the A's and B's, and then I just mark the A's first and then go for the B's. Because if you scramble them, it will be much more complicated. But you can do something similar here. When you mark a quiz, you can mark question by question. So as soon as you have all students getting one same question, you can mark the question, and then later on you keep it to the other question. And then you keep marking all questions until you mark all the quiz. And this is, again, making our life a little bit easier. Now, do you have any questions or comments? If you have any, just please interrupt. No, don't feel free to interrupt. Also from the female branch. Now, I'd like to show you how to do that. Yeah. Yes?
Mohammed, thank you so much. Before you go to the grade center, first you have to create this.
Yes. The quiz.
You have to go to the, and before this is grade center, you have to create this quiz, and you have to set all the options, like the timing, everything, before you come to this.
That's what I would like to do. Yeah, that's what's my next step. Now, I'd like to show you exactly what are the steps in order for us to have like a quiz that can be, first of all, easy to mark and easy for the students to pass. And also, that can prevent students from, because we have a situation when we have students seated next to each other in a lab. So if they have a look on their shoulder, on the right, on the other screen, they might see, if it was the same question, they might get some kind of help. Now, there's a very big help that we can get from Blackboard on this matter. Basically, you can have two students seated to each other and having a completely different set of questions. And because of the ability to randomly select one among a group of questions. And I'd like to show you this. And this is basically, I'm going to show you for what just I did with this thing. Now, if you'd like to create a quiz, you need to create a group of questions that can be, some of them can be selected randomly. And so we can use that. So you're going to get those by going into the course tools. So you go way down to the one before the last. Tests, surveys, and pools. Now, once you click here, you're going to be having another page with tests, surveys, and pools. So what you would like to do, first of all, you need to start with pools. What are pools? The pools are like a group of sets of questions that from them you can select randomly. And that's what we'd like to do. So I'm going to go into this pool. And basically, you build a pool by click on this button. All you need to do by building a pool, you just give it a name. So for example, what I used to do, I give them quiz 1, and then I give them, for example, the name of the type of questions that this pool is going to be about. Let's say multiple choice questions, for example. Multiple choice, or maybe true, false, because I don't have any. True, false. So once you do this, you just click on submit. It will create an empty pool. There are no questions yet. You can put some questions by adding your questions here. So you can enter different type of questions, true, false, or short answers, or multiple answers, or multiple choices. But mainly the ones that we use the most are multiple choices, short answers, true, false. For us, for those who have practical parts, we also have this kind of file response. And this is handy, for example, in midterm practicals or practical exams, or maybe even in assignments if you'd like them to submit a file to you so you can check it later. Now, once you create your question, let's say true, false. Let's say I'm going to create a true, false here. You just give it a title, wherever. I'll just give it quiz 1, true, false question 1. That's what I generally used to do, just give them some kind of numbering as this question title. It doesn't show up anywhere besides just for you. The question title is just for us to see them like numbering. But what's more important is this. This is your question. So you put the question here, is Java a programming language? I don't know. I'm just writing something. Oh, capitals. So anyways, so is Java a programming language? Anyway, this doesn't matter. But then you can specify that the answer, what's the right answer? Is it true or false? So you do that for each one of the questions you submit. And then you can even add more things. I'm just showing you the minimum just to get you ready and started. You can add another question. Let's say I'm going to add a multiple choice question, and then same thing, quiz 1, and then you give it a number, question 2, let's say. And then I'm going to, this is my question, and then you can choose even how many number of possible answers. If it's 4 or 3, if you would like to have more, 5 or whatever, or just less. You put the correct answer here. So this is the correct answer is answer 1. And then you put also the other answers. Answer 2, answer 3. And answer 4. If you don't want, you just like to have 3 options, you just remove this one. And then it's just 3 options now that the student will have. They will have only 3 options. And among the 3 options, this is the correct one. So as for the multiple choices, true, falses, they are easy to mark because the system will mark them for you. All you need to do just maybe to mark the short answers. Now, if I'd like to submit this, I'd yes. Sure.
In this particular choice, we gave the options. So the statement you put is on the top of it, or the statement which
the question. Yeah, the question is on the top part. I'm just trying to edit. Yeah, just coming up. So the question is something here. Yeah, this in this part, the question text. This is where you put the question. So this is where I put like the question here, and then down there you put the possible answers, and the first one, okay, or maybe not always the first one. Notice that there's some kind of a bullet here. If I click, I'd like to. This is the answer that is correct. I just like this is the mention. Yeah, this is the correct answer, and this is going to be used for the marking. Yes.
Just while you're on this.
Yes.
When this question is being displayed to the student.
Yes.
Will the options be randomized?
Okay, very good question. Yes. If you want the order of the questions to be randomized, there's this small checkbox here. Oops. The small checkbox here, you see? Show answers in random order. If you tick it, that means the order is going to be randomized. It's not going to always show the same. Even if the same question is shown to the other student, the options are not going to be in the same order. Yes. 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 In the lab. Of course. All the students are using computers, yes. So this is, of course, a limitation that you have to have the quiz be conducted in a lab. For now, I mean, doing this from home is not going to be kind of feasible because you cannot make sure that actually, first of all, the student is taking the quiz or he's not getting any help from the net or something like that.
just one question, quick question.
Sure.
In addition to the multiple choice and true false or something similar, is it possible to incorporate like some question they can solve and upload, like for example they are doing it in the lab, give some questions to them, they solve it on paper or do something? Is it possible?
On paper? Well, if they solve it.
Like problem.
Okay, now if you'd like them to solve something on paper, they have to transcribe it on the computer, right? But how can they take it and put it? What? Okay. Now, of course, if you would like them to, for example, work on like SolidWorks or any other software, and then they submit a file to you, or like a PDF or anything, you can just have a question that can be. I'm just trying to create a question that is a file response. Now this file response is the same thing again as a quiz 1, question 3, for example. Then you can specify, put the question text, this is what needs to be done, etc. And then solve the problem using NetBeans or JCreator or SolidWorks or any other software that you use in a lab. And then what you can do is to just make sure that you do that, and then that's it. You don't need to mention anything. Yes. Now I need to put some kind of text. This is question for the file. And then when you submit this, now the student, when he gets this question, he will have some kind of browse, a button where he can click and upload his file. Of course, now the common problems that we have with this kind of questions, the student, they lose where they saved their file. So they don't know where they saved the file. So you have just to prepare them to make sure you don't forget where you saved your file, etc. Yeah, before uploading it. But it's kind of useful. I ended up using this also in the midterm practical exams, because it gives us a confirmation that the student gave us the file. Because sometimes it happened in the past, we don't know where we misplaced the file. Is it us when we copied it, or maybe the student didn't give it to us or something like that? Now this gives us some kind of a log, because we can know what the user uploaded at what and when. It keeps track of the time, etc. So now let's stop about this kind of. I would like to show you a very true pool that I'm actually using. And if the connection just helps, yes. So now let me show you. This is the true/false. I'm just going to delete. It can show you that we have 3 types of questions. I'm just going to delete this one because I don't need it. And now I have different type of questions, and this is suited for Java 1. But of course, this can be for any type of course. And I would like to show you this because this is some kind of short answers. And a short answer means the student has to write something, to type something. And we show them this kind of, like these are the type of questions. There are so many different questions. There are like, I don't remember, 11 questions. Now, among these 11 questions, I'm going to randomly select some. I'm going to show you where I do that. Now, as you can see, the questions are not shown completely because by default they're truncated. If you'd like to see more in full text, you just click on this button, and then you're going to see all the questions in a more proper way. So you can see now all the questions. Of course, if you click on one of these buttons, you're going to be able to see the question and also what's the right answer to that question. Because when I prepared the question, I mentioned this is the question, and the student will need to put some text, and this is the correct answer. So the advantage is that when the students, at the end, when you grade his quiz, he can see if he made a mistake on that question, that was the right answer. And this is one of the big advantages, actually, because it makes the students' life easier. As soon as they have the grade, they can check their copies and see what were their mistakes. And for us, we just have this kind of free time now to only focus on the questions that are more troubling to students, and those questions that the students can understand by themselves just with looking at the answer. You don't have to have them in like lining up at your office, or also taking some time from the lecture, because you show them their copies during the lecture. So each one of them, of course, there's a downside. We have to prepare the right answer for each one of them. But anyways, we have to prepare those answer keys anyways. So you can just prepare them, and it doesn't take much time to write something about them. So this is the type of question is all short answer. Let me show you another one. I'm going to go back to the pools. And this is another one, the multiple choice questions. I click on this icon here and then edit to be able to see the questions. And the same way, I'm going to see all the questions in a summarized way. If I'd like to see them full text, I click on this full text. It's going to show me the full text, of course. And then if I click on this button, I can see also the answers. And the one that is right is this one, so you can see the right answer. Now you prepare your set of questions like this, so in the pools. So everything goes into pools. This is the main part. So you go into the pools again. Just to remember, to summarize, we need to go here in the course tools. This is the main thing that you need to go to, the course tools, and then test, surveys, and pools. The main thing you're going to start with is a pool. In the pool, that means we understood that the pool is a group of questions. From these questions, you can select how many should be selected randomly. And that's what we're going to be doing later now. So we prepared a lot of different questions. Yes?
To determine the type of question, multiple choice or find mistake, before all the same type.
No. You can specify any type you want. When you prepare the question, let's say, for example, here, I'm here in this mistake, for example. Okay, edit. When you would like to create your question, you just need to specify what type of question you'd like to add. See? So in the create question, you have different types. There's a lot of more than what we need, basically. But if you would like to have a multiple choice, you can select this one. So it will offer you the template for multiple choice. If it's a short answer or true false, the same way. Thank you. Now, after you finish this, you have different pools. I mean, for me, these different pools are different type of questions that the students are going to be seeing during the quiz. And I put every type in this type of pool. Once you do this, now what you need to do is to prepare the test. So I'm going to click on this link here to go back to test, surveys, and pools. And I'm going to create a test. I have already one, but I'm going to show you from scratch how to do that. Now, I already have okay, hopefully maybe it still work. We'll see. We'll see at the end. Because remember, I'm still recording the video. So let's see if it's going to keep going. So now, when I'd like to create a test, I click on this build a test. It's kind of a weird thing. I need to just give it a name. What kind of name? Or it's just quiz one. This is new quiz one. And in this new quiz one, you can put some kind of description if you want to, some instructions to the students. These are some things that you can put, but honestly, let's keep things simple for now. Just give it a name. And then you click submit. Once you have submit, you have to select what type of questions you would like. You can add some questions on the fly that will be for every student, but that's not what we want. We would like to use some questions that we just did. So I would like to create a random block. A random block because I would like to select randomly from this pool of questions. And that's what I'd like to do. I'm going to click on this create random block, and I have these are the pools that I have. And conveniently, because I named them quiz 1 and then something, I can just sort them by quiz 1, quiz 2, because unfortunately you're going to have quiz 1, quiz 2, everything in one place here. But you can filter if you want to, but anyways, that's another story. Now, for example, I'd just like to add from find mistakes. I'm going to select this one and all pool questions, and then I can see all the questions. Because in a pool, you can have different type of questions. You can select only the type that you want. But for us, again, to make things simple, we just put one type in one pool. That's what I did. I put one type in one pool. That makes our life easy. And then all pools here, questions, shows you all the questions that I added in that pool. And then I click, OK, what did I do? Oh, I need to select. And then I click OK. That is not showing here. Submit. Once I do this, I have now in this quiz only a set of questions that are here. It shows me the total number of questions are 11, and it is going to select randomly only one question. Well, obviously I want more than one. For let's say I would like to have 5 questions. 5 questions randomly selected from this group, which is the find mistakes. So the students will get 5 random questions among this pool. And I would like also to give them a mark. How many marks for each one of these questions? Let's say 0.5. So I'm just going to have 0.5, which is these 5 questions. The total points are 2.5. And I'm building my quiz like this. Yes?
When you select like 5 random questions from these pool of random questions, will
Yes.
all the students receive the same 5 questions or different
No, these are going to be randomly selected among these 11 questions. So among the 11 questions, 5 will randomly be selected for one student, another 5 for another student, another 5 for another student.
Okay, so it means everyone will get
Some
some different questions.
different questions. They get some different questions. Also, the order is going to be different for those questions. So even, for example, in one probability, one student might have the same 5 that another one, but they might not get them in the same order. And I'm going to show you later on another feature that will allow you to limit, again, even in the case of like randomly 2 have the same question, they can still not be able to have them at the same time. Now, I'm going to do the same again if I'd like to add more blocks. For example, now it shows me that I have a total of 5 questions. The total points are 2.5. And I'm going to add, again, another block. Now, what's the difference between a block and a set? Don't talk about this. I'm just showing you something that works, and then we can talk about other things later. Now, I'm going to add the multiple choices questions, all the pool questions. It shows me all the questions. Basically, I'm just interested in selecting the whole pool. And then click on this button, Submit, which is going to, now on top of these 5 questions, I have 12 questions from where to choose. And I'm going to choose to have, let's say, another 5 from here. And the total questions, I don't know, let's just speed up things. I'm going to, like, 0.5 again. So now, out of 10, the quiz 1 is out of 10. So I'm having 5 questions that are going to be 5 marks already prepared. I need just to keep adding until I'm satisfied with the quiz. It doesn't have to be always a big number. I might have, for example, let's say, from programming, I'm going to have them only 1 question that is going to be added. So from this, 1 question, and that question is going to be out of, see, I have 4 questions total. From this 4 questions, I'm going to use 1, and each one is going to be out of, okay, hold on, 3, let's say. So this question is going to be out of 3. So they're going to be having this question again. I'm going to show you again another one. Let me just speed up a little bit. So you get the point. You keep adding your blocks like this until you're satisfied with your questions. Maybe let's put an MCQ output here, for example. And okay. And then you submit. Now a new block is going to be added. The connection is slow, but something is going to show up a few seconds, hopefully, inshallah. Yes. Yes, I checked that. Thank you. Okay. Now here it is. I have 8, and then maybe I'm going to choose between just 2 and 2, and then 1 mark each. 2 didn't show up. This is 2. So I'm selecting 2 questions from this block, which is the output multiple choice questions, and I'm choosing 1 from this programming. Whoa. And 5 from this multiple choices, and then 5 from these find mistakes. Now, if I look at the total, I see that the total points are 10, and I'm satisfied. That's 10 because the quiz is out of 10, so I'm okay. I'm going to click on OK. Now, this new quiz is ready, but it's not deployed yet, which means that the students are not going to be able to see it. Now, you need to find a place where you'd like to add this. So I just added something like this module, or maybe any one of these places that you have by default. You just click on them, and then you can see that you can add some assessments here. I'm going to click on this assessment and select that I'm going to add a test. So any one of these models that you are on the left, you select one of them that is suitable. If you'd like to add a new one, you can still add a new one. On this plus and content area, you can add a new one. But just using one of them is going to be OK. And then once you click on them, you just need to add on assessments test. Once you click on the test, it will tell you, OK, what you'd like to do. Select one existing test that is, or create a new one. Well, I prepared the test already. This is my new quiz. I just need to use it. I'm selecting it and submit it. And this is the place where the question is to specify when the quiz can be taken, at what time, and And I'm going to show you some kind of things. Basically, you can just put some description if you want to. But one of the things that I used is this set the timer. Because we would like the test to be not forever. So we just mentioned, for example, this is for 1 hour or 15 minutes. And that's a good thing. Because students, you don't have to remind them about what time is going to be before the quiz is finished. Because they can see a line, like some kind of progress bar, that decreases until it finishes. And then they can know that they're about to finish, so they have to submit on time. And you don't have a big increase in the term and the number of students finishing on time without me telling them, oh, come on, give me a copy, etc. So that's a very good relief that I got from this tool as well. Again, we would like to make your life easy and students' life easy. So also the students, they know on their screen, they can see how much time is left. So they don't have to check the time, or maybe if they don't have the watch, they ask the student how much time is left, and then they get interrupted during this examination. Now you can select when this quiz is going to be able to be shown to the students. So you select when, and until when it's not going to be showed up. So they can see the link, and then until you don't want them to see the link after a specific time, that's what you do. You select this, and you say, okay, after this time, they're not going to be able to see the link. Now, a good thing is here to set the password. Why is this thing about the password? Because we'd like to make sure that the students are taking the quiz. But what happens is the students, they know that there's a quiz at this time. They might see the link from outside, so they are absent from the class, but they can log in from their home, and then as soon as the quiz is available, he can have access to the net and whatever, different files. So you cannot control them. What I do is use this feature of putting a password. So I put a password, any type of password. I can see some of them. So I put a password, and then I don't give them this password until in the class. So when they're in the class, I put the password. But again, students are clever. If there's some kind of friend who's at home or whatever, I put the password, I give it to them, and then everybody logs in, starts the exam, and then I change the password. Because they can send it through WhatsApp, even, I don't know how they do that, they might, and still not me noticing. So I just change the password, and I'm sure that nobody can take the quiz. There's another way how to monitor to see if somebody is absent, he's not going to be able to see it, because when somebody is absent, you can see, mark him as absent in the attendance. So if later on in the system he shows that he took the quiz, you can see that he took the quiz from outside of the classroom. So you can see that this student should not have been having any mark. So besides this, I mean, you can still have other options. But I strongly suggest you use this password because it's some kind of relief for us. And also you can have this kind of due date, which this is more suitable for some kind of an assignment. If you can allow students to be late. If you want them to be late, they can submit more than the time. You can just have this due date, and then don't check this one. Do not allow students to start the test if the test has been passed. I mean, this is where to start the test. I mean, that's not what I said. If you can allow them to be late, that's another issue. I don't want to talk about it.
Just one question.
Yes. Yes.
If, for example, during the quiz, the instructor feels that, okay, now the quiz is a little bit longer and they need to be given more time. So can he do now review exam?
Yes, that's the thing that I thought maybe this is the part, but I was wrong. The part when you said the test time, actually, as long as you don't click on this button over here, they can still be late. This forced completion means if the time is finished, the test is going to be submitted. That's it. You cannot give them an extra time. But as long as you don't select this forced completion, that means the student, even after 1 hour, or the 15 minutes in this case, they can still continue to do the quiz. But it's going to show up as late, and it's going to tell you the total time they took, like this amount extra, and things like that. Yes?
But I think this forced completion is, the test can be taken at different times, but still the time is 50 minutes. I mean, they can do it in more than one sitting. But forced completion is going to be one sitting. So once the students did it, they have to complete the test if you click on that button.
True.
But if you don't click on it, they can do it like 3-4 times.
Now, what you mean that if I don't click on it, for example, they can do the quiz, and then they can close the browser and restart the computer for whatever reason, and then come back to the same quiz, and they're going to still, the timer will still keep running.
That's right.
And then they can come back. If you do this forced completion, it will do these two things. Allah alam, as far as I can remember, this is what it does. It prevents you from doing this type of things. If they close the browser, immediately their test is going to be submitted, even if incomplete. And after that, it's going to also show that. Where is this one? Oh, you're right. Sorry. Then you're right. This is the thing. Auto submit. This is off. Okay. Then that's what the brother Mamu is saying is right. Yes. The forced completion means it cannot allow you to leave and come back. This on off. That means now if the time is up, it will submit. They don't have any late. They cannot be in it. Then now if it's off, that means they can exceed the time. And honestly, I leave it with off, because the problem that you can have if they don't, oh, so a teacher, I forgot and something happened, just about to save the one small thing. Well, especially in the beginning, just be more flexible, because they're also new to the technology. They don't know how to use it, etc. Maybe later on you can be more strict on that. Yes.
Regarding this archiving purpose, especially code file.
Yes.
We need to print the answer script of all the students. So are we going to print one by one?
No, that's the bad news. The bad news is about the archiving. The archiving the traditional way. Because if we'd like to do it the same way we print everything, all the quizzes are on paper, then that's not going to be happening easily, because you have to print each one of them or put them in PDF, each one of them. And that's painful, because if you have 80 students, that's not something you would like to do. But in Blackboard, there's a feature which is exporting. So you can have this exporting, which means you can just back up your quiz on a CD. And that's what we used to do. If, for example, for the practical exams, we cannot just put practical exams in the archive and archive them, because these are practical exams.
Even the archive, we can print a sample.
You can print a sample, like a paper, but then the main thing is that we need to have like a CD, and that's what we do in the department. We have CDs of all the practical exams, and that we archive with the file. So that's the part. Where we have other time, we just have 10 minutes.
The video, please, with the recording thing.
Yes, I'm coming back to it. I'm coming back to it. Just that's all you need to do. Just one last thing, because it's very important. This thing here. Now you'd like to be able allow students to see their grades, and according to this, after submission, immediately they cannot see anything. What I do is just after the attempts are graded, I allow them to see all the answers, the correct, the submitted, and get my feedback, and also show incorrect questions, the ones that they got incorrectly. So honestly, I'm not sure about each one of these chicks what they do. I just tick them all, just to be honest with you. This is for the students. So when they finish marking, grading the quiz, they're going to be able to see. Because if you don't do this, they're not going to be able to see anything. So they come back to you, and this is not going to defy the purpose. One other thing is this test presentation. I don't want them to see all the questions at once. Why? Remember the case where we have like 5 randomly selected, even other 5s? If they see all, they might be able to compare. What I do is just click one question at a time. So they see on one screen one question. So they focus on that question. And then if they click next, they go to the next one. And that's the other advantage is, with one question, every answer, as soon as they do something, it's saved when they move to the next question. But if you display everything, unless they click on save explicitly, it's not going to be saved. And sometimes students can have, they can go back if you want. If you don't want them to go back, you just click this button. But I don't think it's kind of very useful. And this is another thing, is this randomized questions. Now, what does this randomized questions mean? Because if you remember, I selected pools in a specific order, like this pool 1, find mistakes, in multiple choice, etc. Now, if I want this to be also randomized, even this order is not going to be the same. So the first question is not going to be always find mistakes, but also multiple choices. You click on this button. Now, the quiz is completely random. The type of questions, the questions themselves. Now, click on submit, and that's it. And I'm going to show you one thing. I just would like to take the quiz. You can just see the quiz, how it looks like, by clicking on begin yourself. The work is being processed, okay. Now the password, I just remembered which password I typed, so I'll just go back. So you remember? So let me go back again. If I'd like to change anything in the questions or in the quiz options, I can click on this thing and edit the test options or the test. The tests are the questions, the options are the other options. I'm seeing some, okay, 5 minutes to be fair. 5 minutes, and then I'm going to finish, Salah. Let me just take out the password. I'm going to put this 1, 2, 3. For example, just to put the 1, 2, 3. Now let's go back again. I was there already. Now new quiz. And because of the connection, okay, let's start. And 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Now this is how it will look like. So it tells them actually somewhere, you see the timer doesn't appear here. The timer doesn't appear here because it's us previewing, but the students are going to see the timer. And then this shows the completion status of the question. So if they finish a question, it's going to be marked as brown or darkened. And then this is the question. If they move to the next, you can move to the next question, or by clicking also on the question itself, this question status here. They can click on any question, so they can move to it and back and forth. And as soon as they finish, then when you go to the last one, they can submit. And these questions are selected randomly, and then save and submit. That means it's going to be now submitted. Now what I do as well, because now your students, if you're in the lab, your students are taking the exam, they're on Blackboard, but you cannot check if probably they are still using other websites to help them while doing the quiz. So what I do while I'm doing this, just to ensure that students are using the quiz, basically on the labs we have this software that is installed on our labs. This software is NeetUp. This is the one that we showed to you. This is this, where is it? I'm not seeing it, but the link was here when the application was closed. But this is the kind of icon. It's called Vision. And it looks like this. Now, what you can do is that you can click on this view and classroom monitor. Now, what this does, it just shows you can control, it's like a monitor, a security monitor, and then you can just keep monitoring students what they're doing. So if you see something that you don't like, you can still intervene. And it makes students know that you're doing this, so they don't even try something. And honestly, I didn't have any problems using this tool. Yeah.
So all these things will be visible here, right?
All what they do is visible to me. So I can monitor their classroom. I don't have to be on their shoulders and watch over their shoulders. I can see all what they can see. And that's something I can just control the speed, how many monitors I'm watching at the same time, etc. So there's a lot of different things that I can do here. So that's really the combo that we can use here, and makes the students' life easier because they can also have their marks ready as soon as they are, and then they can understand more their problems because they can just see the correct answer. Now let me just let me do this. Let me do it later. So I don't know if you have any questions. That's all I have for you. Yes?
Can you please repeat the app you just used a minute ago?
Yeah, this one. Now this is this NetUp Vision is installed on every lab, so it allows you to see all the screens. So you can just zoom in like this, so you can see the screens like on some kind of a general view. Or if you click on this tab here, the view and the classroom monitor, it will open a new window, and this new window shows you the screens, and they can move around either fast or slow, depending on what you'd like to, how fast or how slow you want things to be updated.
So this one shows these students monitors randomly, right?
One after the other.
Or one after another?
One after the other.
And the computer number is visible.
You can see, yeah, of course, yes. You can see the computer number. If you see something, generally you can just go back. Okay, hold on, I saw something wrong here. What's the computer number? That's 21, and then you can just talk to the student. Okay, what are you doing? Or you can even control what he's doing. Just double click on here, and then you can see, okay, this is the student, what he's doing, and then you can double click. And if you see that he's doing something wrong, you can, for example, close the app or close the something, or sometimes, I mean, we use it mainly in the class as well to explain things if they have a problem in the computer. So.
That one will block the student from doing anything.
Well, no, it's not always the case. It depends on if this button is clicked or not. So now, if I'm using the students can also use as well. But if this button is clicked, that means the students cannot do anything. Do not share this button over here. If it says do not share control of students' mouse and keyboard, that means if I click on it now, the students cannot even move the mouse or click on the keyboard. And this is something that you can also use. So, is this okay?
Yeah, I think it was very informative, presentation. But one thing which I just wanted to know, maybe later I can check with you. To grade now, I mean now the exam has been conducted, and now I have all the exams with me.
Yes.
Now I need to grade on the Blackboard. So
Exactly. Okay, very good question. Yes, thank you for asking it. Now, if you'd like to grade, of course, you need to go to the Blackboard, and there's not this course tool, there's a grade center. Now, in the grade center, you're going to see full grade center. Leave. This is because I'm leaving the quiz. In this full grade center, it will show you all the quizzes. Unfortunately, for now, I don't think that the quiz is conducted. So you're going to see, for example, there's quiz 1, but it's not conducted yet. Now, once it's conducted, you can click on this icon here, and you can see, you can download the results, but also you can grade the attempts. Now, when you click on this grade the attempts, okay, nothing to be graded, it's going to show you like all the different users one by one. You can either grade them by students or grade them by question. And I find the grading by question quite useful, because you can just focus on one question, grade it, so you can be fair to each one of them, and then you can also move to question by question until you finish all the quiz. Thank you very much. The last thing is maybe to show you this. All this has been recorded since the beginning, hopefully, with this active presenter. So now, once you finish your recording of any presentation, you can just click on this button here, stop,